Wow, man, that's from a clip from WMX Presents. That's actually the trailer. Iconic Records Season 1, Life After Death, hosted by Angie Martinez. But she didn't do it alone. She did not do it alone. This is, to me, one of the most important series that's come out of this whole hip-hop 50 celebration that we've been having because of some of the architects that's behind it. Writer, producer, on-air personality, podcaster, historian, archivist, guru, griot, GOAT. I said it, GOAT. This man has sit down with the likes of Chadwick Boseman, Clive Davis, Jay-Z, just to name a few. Okay? Double XL Magazine, MTV2, Slam Magazine, editor-in-chief of The Source, just to name a few. Tracy G.
That's right.
Co-written award-winning films. 2018 Manhattan Film Festival winner for Story Ave. Just to name a few. Can't Stop, Won't Stop, A Bad Boy Story. Just to name a few. And his work keeps on growing, man. I'm proud to have this brother here. I consider him a brother, and I definitely consider him a brother in what we do here for the culture. Welcome him back to the show, the one and only Bonsu Thompson.
Yo.
Just to name a few.
Just to name a few.
Just to name a few.
You even get to have.
You can't be the GOAT if the GOAT's over here talking. You know what I'm
There's
saying?
enough room in the pastures for more than one goat.
Ah, I like
It's
it.
a lot
I
of
like
goats
it.
eating right now.
I like
There's
it, man.
enough room in the pasture for more than one goat. All right. Bonsu, welcome, man, here this morning, bro.
Thank you, Sway.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Sway.
Absolutely, man.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you,
Of
Tracy.
course.
Everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I see the hard, what's that, the hard to earn merch.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Come on, man.
Absolutely.
If you don't know, man, this is probably, in my opinion, one of the most interesting podcasts in the game right now. It's hard to earn.
We're still a baby, man, but we're here. I mean, so Hard to Earn is my podcast with my partner Torre. We're the only podcast dedicated to reviewing R&B and rap albums, track by track, top to bottom. Having conversations about every song. We celebrate, classic albums on their pivotal anniversaries, whether 20th, 25, 30 on. And also, we discuss current music, whether that's Jack Harlow or Freddie Gibbs, but we discuss these albums, break them down, have conversations between every song. We give context to classic albums. I mean, and again, we're a baby podcast, but, we're the only podcast doing it dedicated to, and I'll say it, black music. You know
Black
what I'm saying?
music. There you go. Get a round of applause. You can say it. You brought up Jack Harlow, who said he's the hardest white boy rapping since Eminem. What is your opinion on that?
I disagree with that.
Okay.
He doesn't even rap hard to me. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He's a good rapper. This funny thing is Jack Harlow's actually our next episode. We have to record this week. Ty, unless Ty. Are you around, Ty? Are you going? You in the Derby?
everybody.
Derby 2 or what?
The hell?
You in New York, Ty? Jesus
Ty gets
Christ.
it from everybody.
Jesus Christ.
All
Hey,
right.
Superstar Ty.
Jet set a Ty. Jesus Christ. But yeah, Jack Harlow's he's the next episode, but he doesn't. I think he's a good rapper. I wouldn't say he's the hardest.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like white, the funny thing is, one of our previous episodes was we reviewed the Who's the Man soundtrack, right, for the 30th anniversary, and we were talking about how much we loved Everlast. Right, and I was like, "Yo, Everlast of course, he got a bad rap because it's early '90s, and we were definitely we were traumatized by Vanilla Ice and all of that." But I'm like, "Yo, Everlast was a hard body. Like he had legit rhymes. He had the great voice. His beat selection was tough. I feel like he was short lived. So I'm not I'm very much a hip hop curator, and I'm very much a gatekeeper in that sense. But like, I never had a problem with Everlast. So
Everlast was dope.
Word.
Everlast was very dope.
Then he went to Whitey Ford.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely.
So when he made his transition, people stopped seeing him the same way.
Well, yeah, he was different, absolutely. I mean, I got off the train also.
Okay.
I think also being a curator, Bonsu, you help us to understand the definition from a lot of words that we just throw around a lot.
Right.
So in this instance, what would you define? What are the defining differences between good and hard?
Oof. Well, I mean, they're not synonymous. I mean, you could be hard and bad. You could be hard and good. We pausing? But anyway.
No.
Okay.
I'm too old to pause, man. I don't remember to do that, but go ahead.
I'm still a child. But no, I mean, so what I'm saying, like in his approach, like I think Jack Harlow is a good rapper. I think a lot of I don't know if this is just like him just being an MC, and like I think it's like a prerequisite for MCs to talk about them being the greatest or the best. You know, I think he's still growing as an artist, but he can definitely rap. But it's still, to me, it's still, you know, it's still CD 101. You know, it's still very contemporary. Yeah. It's very yacht rock rap to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yacht rock.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I like that. Yeah, totally
yacht
get
rock
it.
rap. Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know, and I fuck with y'all. You know, I'm a BG's. You know,
BG's.
Hall & Oates. You know, I love them all.
You like that Blue Eye Soul?
I love it, but you know, but I'm just saying, like, you know, there's Michael McDonald, and then there's, you know, Luther Vandross, or Rick James. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference there.
Okay, I like that. Bonsu Thompson this year. We're going to talk about Iconic Records Season 1, Life After Death.
Yeah.
Hosted by Angie Martinez. If you had to review your favorite interview you've done, who would it be?
Wow. Ever?
One of them. It's hard to do ever.
It's a Dre 3000.
Andre 3000.
It's a toss up. It would either be Dre. It flip flops, but either Dre 3000 or Jay-Z. But I've interviewed Jay-Z more. I think I've interviewed Jay-Z more than anybody else.
Yeah,
actually,
you have.
I don't think anybody's interviewed Jay-Z as much.
Both rare interviews to snag too. So that's crazy that you got both of them.
You know what? And that's why I was going with Stax, because I'm like, Stax is, you know, he just like chasing a unicorn, right?
Yeah.
I think I've interviewed Stax 2 or 3 times, and Jay-Z more than that. But yes, but just because of the conversation we had, like I interviewed 3 Stax right before the Love Below album.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm a massive Outkast fan. Like, you know, used to kick it with Big Boy. Big Boy is the one who like really introduced me to like Atlanta, which is an unfair way to be introduced to Atlanta because I got addicted. But like, yeah, like I was nervous because I'm like, we know Dre from Quemini, and I mean, I've been rocking with him since Southern Playlistic, right? And you know, Hey Ya comes out, and I'm nervous, like, yo, is he doing the Whitey Ford thing? You know what I mean? Like, is he gonna go to the other side? Is he gonna survive? You know, I'm concerned for my brother, you know? And then we getting like I pull up, we get in his Rover, and we just drive around Atlanta, and we just have like the most in-depth conversation about everything from why he doesn't believe in monogamy to Q-Tip being his favorite art. I mean, like, we got into almost an argument because he was saying Q-Tip was his favorite rapper. And I'm like, do you listen to yourself?
And you argued him over Tip?
Because I'm like, you're better than Q-Tip. Like, like how could Q-Tip be your favorite rapper when you could rap circles around Q-Tip? I didn't understand.
What was his response?
He started quoting Tribe Called Quest lines and I started quoting Outkast lines back to him, like, but your line is better. Like, we're gonna do Return to the Gangsta, compare that to Suck a Nigga. Love them both, but lyrically,
Suck a Nigga was dope though.
Suck a Nigga was fire. That's probably one of my favorite Q-Tip records.
Okay.
And
but
what
I'm just saying, but there's still
was this for?
This is for Double XL. This is
Okay.
when I was at Double XL. This was 2000 and right before this Love Below album. So I mean, I think
but
2004.
But then Suck a Nigga came out what year?
Suck a Nigga was 93.
Yeah, so I mean, damn, how you arguing that?
Because I'm like 26 years old.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm also sitting with my favorite rapper, like, and I'm like,
time.
how could you talk about anybody else when you are? I'm looking at him. He's a unicorn. Like, do you hear yourself? Like, you know, what was the rhyme after at the end of Stankonia with the Untitled joint?
Yeah.
What can make a nigga wanna, you know, like that? I'm like, Q-Tip could never do that. But again, whatever. You know, I was also more Fife than Q-Tip anyway, but that's another conversation for another day.
Okay.
Woo!
All right.
I think it's interesting that the argument that you had with him about himself. Do you think it was the reason why he didn't want to say anything because does he not see himself the way that we see him?
No. I mean, if you know Andre, he's wild insecure.
Yeah.
Like, surprisingly, like, when you hear him and you hear his ability, right? And we always put people in these boxes, right? We think that how we perceive them or how we've consumed them is their everything. Like Eddie Murphy is a brilliant person on stage. Like, he's a complete weirdo off of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, Richard Pryor was amazing on stage. He was funny on film. He's a whole train wreck outside of it. You know, like, so I think we put people in these boxes because of what we take that's great about them. But there's a whole other. Robin Williams was brilliant, but like, he was going through it. Philip Seymour Hoffman was going through it. And I mean, you know, so I think I only saw his ability as opposed to who this person was. And he was an only child, super shy, insecure, doubted himself. He also had, like, I forget what the term is, but he has like social anxiety, which is insane to be a pop star. Yeah. You know, he's a Grammy winner, and you have social anxiety. That's a lot to deal with. Mm-hmm. So of course, me again, young journalist, young 3 Stacks fan, I'm not aware of all this when I'm having this conversation about Q-Tip and 3 Stacks.
Yeah. How has your interviewing skills evolved from when you were in your 20s until now?
I would think I get better every year.
Okay,
honestly.
there's certain like approaches
Yeah, I
that you
don't-
used to do that you no longer do.
No, I think I'm just a better listener now. And I can hear the rhythms of a conversation better. You know, that's just experience. But I know I never wanted to interview people. My job was to make people feel like they're in a conversation. And in order to make people feel like they're in a conversation, you have to make them comfortable. In order to make them comfortable, you have to come to the table extremely researched and nuanced and make them feel like this is something that they're discussing that's personal to them and not the regular. Because we have to be a part of press schedule sometimes.
Right.
So you could be the 10th interview that day. You got to make yourself stand out. It's almost like speed dating, right? How you gonna stand out? It's a room full of fly dudes. How you gonna make her feel impressed?
Well, you have a method that you use, obviously, because you've done so well at it. Anthony from Yonkers want to ask you a question just about this very topic. Anthony, welcome to the show.
What up, Ant?
What's up,
What
man?
up?
Ant, you there?
Everybody, good morning. Yes, sir. How y'all doing?
Go for it, man. We doing excellent, man. Say what up to Bonsu. What's your question?
It's an honor to speak to you, Bonsu. As a rising journalist, I want to ask, what does it take to build trust from the very beginning? Because that's one challenge I'm facing right now as a journalist.
Trust with the subject, you're saying?
Like, trust with people you want to have future interviews with.
Oh, I mean, again, I would go back to research. The more you know, the more people feel like you are a trusted source. You've done your homework. They're safe with their story in your hands. They're comfortable enough to give you, sometimes when people are comfortable, interviews are comfortable, like you get the gold, and a gold are nuggets or pieces of information that you never anticipated getting. You get that because when people are comfortable, they just talk. And people want to be heard. I mean, you could be a 5 times platinum artist. You want to be heard. So if there's something about your life, about your craft, about your process that hasn't been explored, or even thrown out there by the artist, if you give them that plate, that comfortable bed to kind of like put their feet up, they'll give it up to you. So I mean, that's where I think the trust comes from. But that also comes with, I'm not just a person trying to get a check. I'm not here as a job. I'm actually here invested in you as a person, as an artist, as a craftsman.
I thank you for your question, Anthony. Bonsu Thompson is here. We're talking WMX presents Iconic Records Season 1, Life After Death, hosted by Angie Martinez.
Yes.
New episodes drop every Saturday, 8 p.m. You can watch for free on channel 1137 on the Roku channel.
Yeah, also on YouTube.
On YouTube, every Monday on YouTube, yeah. Actually, episode 2 drops, I forget how we doing this?
However, when does it drop? This Saturday?
It's live, like what?
We're live on air.
Oh, us. Yeah, we are live.
Okay, we're live. Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, everything's live, bro.
We drop at noon today for episode 2.
Noon today.
heard.
I played Hypnotize from that album. Obviously, I had a very intimate connection with Notorious B.I.G.
I know this way.
Yes, it runs deep, man. It runs back
know.
in the days of party and bullshit and dreams, and when those singles were dropping, and
Early 90s.
early 90s, and I was in the Bay receiving all this music. I played Dreams off a DJ Clue mixtape. And then I would take all his drops off and put my own drops on, so people thought I had it first in Cali. I said it, Glue. I said it.
Black people gonna make a way.
We made a way,
Right.
But when Big first came to Northern California, it was my promotion company, Streetwise, that took him and Craig Mack around. And so my brother, T. Cal, was very instrumental in taking Big to all the little hot spots in the Bay Area. At that time, the Acorns, which was like projects at 6-9ville, taking to San Francisco, all these different places, 100 Points. And our promotion company, too, we were on a radio station, but we used to do a club called The Jungle. And so we would bring acts into town that didn't have enough exposure. Big was one of those acts.
Really?
And so we got old school classic footage of Big performing in San Francisco for the first time.
So it was you that got Big out of trouble with E40?
That wasn't me.
It sounds like it would have been you, though.
That wasn't me. Had I known, it would have been. I could have been very instrumental
Right.
in that part of it. But by the time this album came out, I'm gonna jump to Life After Death. There was a whole lot of tension in the air.
Yeah, man.
With the East Coast, so-called East Coast, West Coast beef. That really
So-called,
the
right.
so-called wasn't really that
Right.
manufactured beef. And so I got a chance to talk to Big a few days before his untimely death. But when they hypnotized, we did the interview, and we got some footage all over the internet about it.
Gotcha, okay.
But when Hypnotize came out, now Hypnotize was produced by D-Dot.
D-Dot and I think what's the other guy's name?
Ron Lawrence.
Yes.
And then
Amura, I think is. I forget how to pronounce his.
Yes, and then Puff. You see Puff name on it too.
Of course.
For that song, Hypnotize, when it came out, had a very West Coast sound to it. Me,
it hit. I thought it hit both. I thought it was a very smart song. And I mean, again, be completely honest. I mean, massive Biggie fan. He's my favorite rapper of all time. I didn't love Hypnotize when it came out.
Yeah, you didn't, because you were East Coast.
I'm a mixtape guy. You know me. I'm a mixtape guy.
Yeah, you couldn't have loved that.
I had the unreleased version of My Downfall. Like, how could I love Hypnotize?
Okay, yeah. You know? But I thought it was like an olive branch almost.
Huh.
Well, I mean,
with the way the sound, sonically, what it sounded like, it was like, hey.
I think that was more of a Puff thing, just trying to make a nationwide commercial single. I mean, the olive branch was so blatant, which was going back to Cali.
Yeah,
that was the olive branch. You know, but it's something I think people don't really understand, and I'm glad we make the point in this series is that Big, he didn't just like go to LA and got killed. Like, Big was living in LA for like 3 months.
Yeah.
You know, like he was around LA, like he was getting love. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think if I'm not mistaken, they shot Hypnotize video in LA, and that's when he did the Joe Claire interview. I think that's California. So anyway, regardless of that, he was living in California for like 3 months, getting much love from the West Side. You know, like this wasn't East Coast, West Coast thing. California didn't hate Biggie. This was a couple of people.
Yeah, I could vouch for that. Cali didn't hate Biggie at all.
Right.
I don't know. You can't go multi-platinum without California.
Yeah.
You know, like that's
facts.
It's in the early '90s, mid '90s, you can't go multi-platinum without California, so it was ridiculous.
How important do you feel like Derek D-Dot was to Biggie's musical?
D-Dot?
Yeah,
huge. I wish D-Dot was in this series. He turned us down because he had some issues with the estate, but huge. I mean, and then you saw D-Dot came to the Hard to Earn
podcast episode.
We did a 25th live 25th anniversary episode for the 25th anniversary of Mace's Harlem World album, which D-Dot executive produced, and he came through as our guest. And again, honored. He dropped so many gems, but he tells, you know, he's so he's so enigmatic and like, you know, he's colorful and like he's a real character. And I wish we could have got that for this series as well, because he's got possibly more Biggie stories than anybody. Yeah, you know, and he's and he's from Brooklyn, so. And he's from Brooklyn.
I saw clips too of a lot of songs that Biggie didn't want to do in his past. Yeah. Were there any songs on this album that Biggie wasn't in favor of? Life After Death.
And not in favor of. No, he had a lot more control this album.
Okay.
And that was something that we touched on as well. It's even from his look. I mean, we have legendary, Taylor Guy Woods and his wife Shireen Woods, who owned 5001 Flavors. You know, people always talk about, Biggie always talked about Versace this, Versace that. But Versace wasn't making clothes for big size. You know, Biggie didn't even have the money initially on Ready to Die to afford that stuff. So Guy Woods, they were custom making, stuff for him, custom making Versace shirts, like on some Dapper Dan style. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you see his imaging, he didn't have control of his imaging. He didn't have control of even all the beats for Ready to Die. But then Life After Death comes and he's just like, I mean, somebody's got to die. Those stories, Niggas Bleed. Yeah. Like, those are iconic stories. And he wrote those to just a loop. Like, he never even had drums on those songs. Like, Big never heard the final version to Somebody's Gotta Die. He never heard the final version to Niggas Bleed. He never heard that. Like, the sample for Somebody's Gotta Die, I think is it's Delphonics. In the Rain. Just the loop. He wrote that whole story just to the loop.
Wow.
And then Nasheem added the drums and the raindrops in the background and the sound effects for the story. Like, it wasn't even produced yet. It was like, that just shows you how genius Big was. Like, to make that up with no inspiration from the music, crazy.
Did you find that out while doing the research for this, or that's just information you already knew?
No, we found that out while interviewing. I didn't know. I'm directing Ange, so I wrote and directed this series, if I had to make that clear. But so I'm directing the shoot, and Ange is interviewing Nasheem, and when he says that, Ange is like, whoa, and like everybody on set is like, wait, what? Like, I love, like, Somebody's Gotta Die is a perfect rap song. That's an amazing story. I mean, if you talk about the best stories in hip hop, that's one of the best ones. And the fact that his man created that without a sound bed, like a real production.
Bananas.
That's insane. That's absolutely insane.
As the writer and director of this, Bon, talk about your collaboration with Angie Martinez. Like, how does that work? Because you have someone who is such a stellar, consummate professional in this game. You know what I mean? You also come from a background as a journalism. You know how to interview someone really well. Do you let her have free reign? Do you guys have conversations about, you know, the angle of where you want to take this interview? Like, what does that look like behind the scenes?
Well, I mean, people were like, people didn't understand when I say writer and director, like, how'd you write this? Like, it's, you know, just interviews. And I'm like, well, there's a framework, right? That you have to, I direct according to the framework. I create questions for the interviewers, for the interviews according to the framework. So it's me just like, you know, kind of feeding Ange. Ange is, you know, Ange's a legend. She's going to make it happen. She's going to take the questions and know how to follow up. And, you know, she also has her own history with a lot of these guests. Like, she's the OG. She knew Big. Big came to her birthday party, you know? So it's my job to make her job easier. So the framework was created by myself, you know, what we want to go for. You know, actually know a little bit more about the music history than Ange, you know, but even though Ange knew him, you know, because, you know, Ange has talked to everybody in the world. So she doesn't, you know, remember everything from 1984, where it's like, I'm like the rap nerd, so I'm like, oh yeah, on this.
Yeah.
You said this on this date.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, that's what's happening.
Okay, let's go into music, man, and come back and talk about it, man. This is an incredible series, Iconic Records Season 1, Life After Death, hosted by Angie Martinez, written and directed by Bonsu Thompson. Woo! You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on the Roku channel 1137. New episode dropping today at noon.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go into music. If you want to talk Notorious B.I.G, 888-742-3345.